Current Research and Practice in Teaching Vocabulary by Alan Hunt and David Begler. Vocabulary is the knowledge of words and word meanings, and it represents one of the most important skills necessary for teaching and learning a foreign language. It is the basis for the development of all the other skills: reading comprehension, listening comprehension, speaking, writing, spelling and pronunciation. Vocabulary is the main tool for students in their attempt to use English perfectly. Then why is teaching vocabulary important? It's important because of two reasons. It's a necessary ingredient for all communication, and learners encounter vocabulary on a daily basis. How can vocabulary be instructed and learned? According to Alan Hunt and David Begler, it can be done through three approaches. 1. Incidental learning, where words are learned through direct exposure to words. 2. Explicit instruction, where the teacher selects the word using certain criteria. For example, frequency, usefulness, easy to learn, relevance, fun to learn, etc. And then they teach them through intensive instruction. 3. Independent strategy development, where the teachers instruct students to use the dictionary and to guess from the context. Each approach has a set of principles, which are the following. Principle 1. Provide opportunities for the incidental learning of vocabulary. The scientific research on vocabulary instruction reveals that most vocabulary is acquired incidentally through indirect exposure to words. Students can acquire vocabulary incidentally by engaging in rich oral language experiences at home and school, listening to books, reading aloud to them, and reading widely on their own. Principle 2. Diagnose which of the 3,000 most common words learners need to study. This principle has to do with diagnosing which of the 3,000 most common words learners need to study, following certain criteria. For instance, usefulness, words that appear more frequently. Easy to learn, words that are short, easy to pronounce, cognates, etc. Relevance, words that students need to perform the tasks in class. Fun to learn, when a word is encountered in funny ways or sounds similar to another word. Then those words are taught through a process of intensive instruction. Principle 3. Provide opportunities for the intentional learning of vocabulary. Intentional learning through instruction significantly contributes to beginner students' vocabulary development. One way to do it is by translation. Translating vocabulary may be an effective way for students to learn vocabulary. However, it's important to consider other kinds of L2-based activities and learning strategies, since some students may not be able to recall words using this alternative. Vocabulary lists are another way. Reading activities can be accompanied with vocabulary lists so that words can be automatically recognized. Now, there are aspects that teachers have when teaching unfamiliar vocabulary. 1. Teach pronunciation, stress pattern, and syllable structure, not just the form of the word. 2. Start with semantically unrelated words to avoid confusion. 3. Study numerous short sessions rather than a few long sessions. 4. Study 5-7 words at a time. 5. Use keyword techniques and visual images with words. 6. Flashcards can hold a lot of information about the word, such as part of speech, conjugation, and gender, not just definition. Principle 4. Provide opportunities for elaborating word knowledge. This principle has to do with expanding learners' previous vocabulary knowledge and new information by explaining the connection between them, and then providing opportunities to use this new vocabulary in new contexts that provide new collocations and new associations. Activities that allow students to elaborate word knowledge, sorting words into categories, identifying or generating associated words, combining phrases, allocation puzzles, or bingo. Principle 5. Provide opportunities for developing fluency with known vocabulary. Practice using familiar words and structures so that students can use them without hesitation. This will allow developing the skills of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Fluency exercises include time readings, where learners are encouraged to increase their reading speed by attempting to comprehend as much information as possible. And paced readings, where the teacher determines the time and pushes the learner to read faster. Principle 6. Experiment with guessing from the context. Experiment with guessing from the context is a complex and difficult strategy. Learner needs to know at least 95% of surrounding words in order to guess the correct meaning. That is why this principle is more beneficial for more proficient L2 users. Principle 7. Examine different types of dictionaries and teach students how to use them. Why should we encourage students to use dictionaries? Dictionaries develop learning autonomy. They are a handy resource for researching different meanings, allocations, examples of use, and standard pronunciation. If students know how to use them effectively, there are hundreds of hours of self-guided study to be had with a good dictionary. There are multiple types of dictionaries with different features. Teachers need to know different options and teach students how to use them properly. For instance, electronic dictionaries, bilingualized, and online dictionaries. Techniques for teaching vocabulary. The objective of the teacher fronted is to clarify the meaning of a word that students do not know, using the steps for eliciting a word, which are 1. Elicit the word. This allows students to contribute the word if they know it. 2. Provide the word if students do not know it. If the students clearly do not know the word, then the teacher has to give it. 3. Convey the meaning of using a picture or an oral definition. It is easier for students to start with a concept rather than the word itself. 4. Drill the word. Because English spelling is often strange, it's better for students to learn the sound of the new word before they see how it is written. 5. Write up the word on the whiteboard and provide grammar information. Students need to learn the spelling and part of speech of the word. 6. Check that students understand the meaning of the word by asking answered questions. It's a good idea to ensure students are sure about the meaning of the word before you ask them to say it. Last class, I gave you a reading text for you to read it at home. Is there any word that you don't know and you want to share with us?
Yes. What does longbow mean?
Well, longbow is a kind of weapon, but first, do you remember Robin Hood?
Yes.
He usually used a weapon. Do you remember his weapon?
Yes.
Yeah. He uses a longbow. A longbow is a kind of weapon that you use it in this way. It usually carries an arrow. So, for you to make it clear, this is a longbow. Okay, and this is an arrow. So now I'm going to write the word longbow. Longbow. Can you repeat it?
Longbow.
Can you repeat it again?
Longbow.
So longbow, it's a noun, okay? And in Spanish it means arc, or in this case arco, okay? So what kind of weapon Robin Hood used?
Longbow.
A longbow. Very good, excellent.
Thanks.
The objective of student-centered is to give a task for them to get the meaning of a word by themselves.